Hello, good morning. Our first issue is Pegasus Spyware. Today we have more than 4 articles on this particular issue. 2 editorials are also there. I have combined all of them and together let us understand this. NSO, Israel's defense software company, has developed a malware or we call it as spyware. This spyware has been purchased by many of its customers. Customers here are the countries and governments. Now this particular thing is in news because it is said that under Pegasus project, it is said that many of the journalists, lawyers, leaders, ministers, journalists, national level leaders, all these names are there. In this context, Indian government was asked that whether you purchased it. See, these are the names, Rahul Gandhi, etc., etc. These are the names in the list. Are you putting them under surveillance? If yes, it is not legal. Yes or no? Because that's not a national security concern. See, when can a government can place someone under surveillance if it is a national security threat? But spying over national leaders, election commissioner, Supreme Court judges, journalists, this is not legal. There is no legal sanction for it. Then in the parliament, the legislators has asked the government whether you sanction for this. They said the government has clarified that we have not done any unauthorized or illegal surveillance. They didn't mention about Pegasus. They said we have not done any wrong. That's it. Officials from both MeitY and Home Affairs, they said they neither confirmed or denied the involvement in this Pegasus spyware case. In India, we have 2 important acts under which surveillance can be done. One is Telegraph Act, second one is IT Act. So recently, this particular controversy has erupted because journalists, politicians, Supreme Court judge, former election commissioner, these all have been under surveillance if the reports are true. See, anytime intelligence gathering is needed, yes, spying is needed, but it should be professionalized. Parliamentary oversight should be there, and liberties and law should be protected. As of now, as we said, there are 2 laws that authorizes for surveillance. One is Telegraph Rules, second one is IT Act. What happens when the government goes for surveillance on these people? It is invasion of their privacy, yes or no? Their private data, public data, everything will be with the government. In case Puttaswamy judgment, it is said that government can go for invasion of privacy, but then 3 conditions should satisfy. 1, restrictions or invasion of privacy by the law only. 2, so what is the necessity? Is the necessity is proportionate to invasion of privacy? That is second thing. Third thing is legitimate state interest. That is legitimate national interest should be there. It's not for political. It should not be for political interest. These are the 3 things mentioned under case Puttaswamy case. Now, we have 2 options. 1, government might have used. In that case, it is illegal. 2, some other, let's say some country or some private one might have used it. If government uses it, it is illegal. If someone uses it, it is invasion, serious threat to our national security because they have all the data of our important leaders, journalists. So on both the sides, it is dangerous. Now let us wait and see who is the one who has done this. But any country, let's take USA. USA in 2013, after Snowden revelations, Patriot Act, that has been expired and they have not renewed it. So unauthorized, unchecked surveillance is threat to individual rights, collective rights. That's why we need surveillance reforms. Next issue is ICMR Sero survey. Sero survey means blood sampling survey. Recent blood sampling survey has said that 2/3 of Indians have antibodies for COVID-19. 40 crore people, that is 1/3 of population, are still vulnerable to COVID infection. That means in case of 3rd wave or 4th wave, 40 crore people are vulnerable for this. Now in this context, what should we do? Encourage the vaccination. Mass vaccination should be encouraged and furthered upon. 2, awareness. 3, health infrastructure needs to be geared up. These three things should be done. Next one, recently Supreme Court has given a judgment on 97th Constitutional Amendment Act. 97th Constitutional Amendment Act has provided for separate section, separate part for cooperative societies. Part 9b deals with cooperative societies. So, how the cooperative society should be run, etc. All these provisions are mentioned under this particular amendment. These amendments, they gave power to Parliament without getting the consent from the state legislature. Parliament can change, determine the number of directors of cooperative society, tenure of the cooperative society, even necessary expertise. What is the expertise needed for the cooperative society? All these things can be decided upon by the Parliament. But under the constitution, according to Supreme Court judgment, yes, constitutional amendment, only Parliament has the power, we agree. But then it is under state list. Cooperative societies comes under part of state list, so Parliament cannot have absolute control over them. So it has struck down certain parts which gave more powers to the Parliament. But then it has placed multi-state cooperative societies with under Union of India only, under Union list. That means Supreme Court did not strike down the 97th Constitutional Amendment. It has proposed for changes in the provisions of 97th Constitutional Amendment. Next issue is Blue Origin's new Shepard. Blue Origin, this company has crossed Karman line. Karman line means 100 kilometers above the Earth's surface, and it reached 106 kilometers height. That means they technically entered into space. And yesterday, it's 52nd anniversary of Apollo 11 moon landing. Moon, NASA's mission has landed. So first man landed on moon on June 20th. That's why on this day, this Blue Origin company has launched this mission. For 10 minutes, they stayed in the space and they came back and landed safely. So it will spur the space tourism. Recently, Virgin Galactic also reached the space. We called it as suborbital space because they reached only till 86 kilometers height. Karman line is the most accepted line for deciding where the space starts at 100 kilometers height. Next issue is China and South Asian countries and their relations. Recently, 6 countries, China, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, they all made 2 agreements. One, Poverty Alleviation and Cooperative Development Center, they started it. 2, China South Asia countries emergency supplies reserve. So all these 6 countries started it. We have SAARC as a group. In SAARC group, except China, these 6 countries are there. And then Bhutan, these 5 countries plus Bhutan, Maldives, India. Now, any kind of grouping of this, it will dilute the SAARC spirit. Now, India criticized that this is to isolate India. But Bangladesh recently said that if India wants to join, India can join. See, India under Vaccine Maitri program has promised for export of vaccines, but then they unilaterally suspended it. Now we need to have some choice. China has voluntarily offered us this deal. We need to protect the lives of our people, so we have taken it. Yes or no, any country will consider its own interests, not the neighbor's interest. So in this context, we can't blame them. But it will dilute the SAARC spirit. That's the issue. Next issue is Zomato's IPO. IPO means initial public offering. If any company, if it sells its shares for the first time in the share market, we call it as initial public offering. Zomato is a food delivery startup company. Ant Group belongs to Alibaba, China. So Ant Group is the major investor in this. So overall, this food delivery startup company, it will raise $1.26 billion at share price 76 each in the initial public offering. We have to understand this word, what is IPO. Next, let us understand the editorials. 2 more editorials were there. We discussed them in the first issue. Now, AP Telangana water sharing issue. Recently, as AP has proposed new projects over Krishna River, it has become controversy. AP criticized that Telangana also proposed for new projects, and Telangana criticized that AP is taking away more water. In this context, controversy erupted. So now the central government under Ministry of Jal Shakti, it has notified the powers of Krishna and Godavari river boards under AP Reorganization Act. AP Reorganization Act 2014 provides for river sharing and river water boards for these two rivers, as these are two major rivers across the two states. Now, these river boards can administer, can regulate, can operate and maintain 36 projects on Krishna Basin, 71 projects on Godavari Basin for judicious use of water. Now, instead of going for new projects, the states must focus on water efficiency, energy conservation, etc. This should not impede the relations between two states, and center also should act quickly. See, it's been 7 years. 2014 means it's been 7 years. Now the central government has notified the provisions. This kind of undue delay might lead to more controversies. Next issue is investment in India. Kitex story. Kitex is a Indian company based in Kerala. This is a garment company. We know that textile industry provides for more employment. So Kitex provides for employment to 10,000, more than 10,000 people. Recently, Kitex has announced that it is going to invest, new projects will not be invested in Kerala, but it is going to invest in other states. Now it approached Telangana government. It is going to invest now in Telangana. Kitex is one of the major garment exporting companies of India. What is the issue now? Kitex, this has participated in the elections. Initially in 2015 local government elections, 2020 local body elections, recently also in assembly elections it has participated. But in local government elections, it won in wherever it has participated, it won in a substantive way. But in the assembly elections, it got votes, but then it didn't win. So in this context, government's inspections, these are seen as harassment, and then it said we are not going to invest new, we are going to invest elsewhere. In this context, what the companies expect, we have to understand the fundamental issue. Democracy versus capitalism. What the capitalism expects is it needs cheap labor. It doesn't want much of the environmental regulations. It doesn't want any kind of labor regulations. They want to produce at cheaper rates, and their ultimate objective is more profits. But then governments, democratic countries, democratic governments, they have other obligations also: social welfare, economic welfare, environmental concerns. These things should be there. Government should balance the economic interest with this. But now, when we say ease of doing business, we talk about providing more and more incentives to the companies to attract the investment rather than seeing it holistically. This approach should change. Social compact between capitalism and democracy should be negotiated through the representatives and bureaucrats. Capture of political power by the capitalists is going to harm. So in this context, many people are blaming Kerala, saying that, see, you didn't take proper measures, that's why it has shifted its investment. Yes, it shifted its investment, but social and other concerns also should be kept into account. Next issue is India's stock bubble market. In India, BSE, NSE, these are performing very well, but actual economic growth is less. See, when can a company's shares grow? If the overall profits of the company increases or overall economic contribution of the company increases. But in many companies, there is a crisis because of many issues, especially COVID-19, etc. But then these stock values are increasing. That means there's a divergence between economic performance and stock value. This might lead to sudden fall in the prices, which we call as stock bubble. So in India, stock bubble phenomena is there now. So investors should be very careful. Final issue is radical otherness and accepting. Recently, USA-based Pew Research Center survey has shown that many people in India accept that we are tolerant of other religions, but many people also want to keep their personal relations like marriage, friendship. Most of it is within their grouping. That means India has diversity of faiths, but then we have combination of religious tolerance with religious segregation. Let them do their own work, let us do our own work. That's considered tolerance, yes, but then where is the cohesion? That's the question now. So that's why some people call it as exclusionary and segmented tolerance. Those students who are preparing for anthropology and sociology, please go through this article little carefully. Thank you very much. All the very best.